Welcome to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast.
Welcome back to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the season preview, part 2. I'm your host, Connor Acker.
And I'm your co-host, Kyle Acker. Back at it for a second run to cover the roster, the division, and prime us up for the big game on Friday.
If you listen to the last episode, we started doing this podcast. We're for the fans, by the fans. So we're going to be doing a giveaway here.
Yeah, so we have a signed puck and a signed poster that will go together. And they were both signed by Carter Mazer himself.
You'll follow us, like and follow us on Facebook or Twitter or Reddit. Just follow, like the page. If you do it on multiple accounts, we'll get you on all of them as an additional entry. And if you really want to increase your chances, you can call into our call-in number to get 3 additional entries. And our call number is 1-616-319-1175. And pretty much just make up a funny name. It's completely anonymous. Make a funny name and then, talk about the Griffins. You can be serious. You can talk about this season, how you're excited for the opener. Pretty much whatever you want. We've had some pretty wild ones, so.
Talk about the jerseys, whether you love them or hate them. Talk about expectations for the team this year. How much we want Marco Kasper up on the Red Wings, but we're so happy to have him here. Yada, yada.
Or why you think Marco Kasper should be on the Red Wings. We'll want it all. Actually, we'll make it 5 additional entries. Call in, you get 5 entries into the Carter Mazer poster.
So you want to go ahead and get right into the roster here.
We just got to mention we're part of the Hockey Podcast Network, and we're brought to you DraftKings and GameTime. So we're going to get into the goalies first. We're going to start with Sebastian Cossa, the big fella, or Eric Zane calls him. He's a 6'6" goalie. He was drafted in 2021, 15th overall by the Detroit Red Wings. There was him and Jesper Wallstedt in the draft. Sebastian Cossa was the rawer, more athletic guy, and Wallstedt was the more fundamentally sound goalie. We took Cossa. He looked really raw at first, for sure. He actually went and won a championship with the Oil Kings, and then he went and came to the Grand Rapids, and he clearly wasn't ready to play for Grand Rapids. Got lit up, went down to Toledo for a season, completely dominated in Toledo. And then he came up to Grand Rapids last year, and his development took major strides, and he's our number 1 guy, and he's looking to take the next step here soon to go up to Detroit.
Yeah, Cossa split time last year with Michael Hutchinson. This year, Michael Hutchinson is leaving the team, so it's Sebastian Cossa's net now. And we're looking at him to fully take over as the number 1 goalie. Last year, he played 40 games with a 2.41 goals against average and had a 0.913 save percentage. Really nice to see, considering we didn't have anything for goaltenders for the last couple of years in Grand Rapids.
And yeah, he'll definitely be he is our star guy on this whole team, pretty much. He's like our heart and soul. He's going to be the decider on how deep we go. A goalie is almost like a quarterback in football. He's the player that can really change the game.
Yeah, and he was stellar late in the playoffs last year. So excited to see where he continues off this season. So number 2 for goaltenders on the list, we're going to go ahead and get into Malcolm Subban, considering he will be the primary backup to Kosa now. He was with the Springfield Thunderbirds last season, played 31 games, had a 2.94 goals against average and a .907. Later on, he ended up with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Columbus Blue Jackets dropped him to the Cleveland Monsters, where he went into the playoffs for them. Pretty deep. Cleveland made it.
Yeah. And he's got some NHL experience. You know, he's played for the Golden Knights, the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, he's got some veteran experience under his shelf.
Yeah, well traveled. Rockford Ice Hogs. He's played for the Blackhawks. He's been around the league for sure.
And he is brothers of PK Subban. So next on our list we have Jack Campbell, and he was pretty much, we were almost thinking he was going to be our guy for Kosa, to like Hutchison was last year, but turns out he's going into the players assistance program. So best of luck to him. We wish the best. We hope he can get it together and come join the team. You know,
Yeah,
sooner better than later.
coming over from the Edmonton Oilers system, where he actually played with the Bakersfield Condor for most of the season. He played 33 games over there, had a .918 save percentage, 2.63 goals against average, which are pretty good numbers. And we had high expectations bringing him over. He has also been around the league and was a very stable veteran presence. But yeah, it's just he was looking to be the number 2, but we had to make that pickup with Subban with his departure, and the Players Association ensures they're private.
Yeah, he is a hometown Michigan guy. He's from Port Huron. He's 32 years old, getting up there in age for NHL. Got some experience just like Subban. So then the other goalie we have on our roster right now, we have Carter Geilander.
Yeah, Carter Geilander. He looked pretty good this offseason in training camp, in the red-white game and all of that. I thought he looked like one of the better goalies. I was almost kind of excited for the potential of him playing when the Jack Campbell news was announced, but I think it's a smart decision that they did acquire another veteran goaltender soon to not put that stress on him as being like the go-to backup for Kosa. It gives him time to develop, and I do hope we still get to see Geilander, but I hope they just kind of ease him into the game and don't force him in.
Yeah, because he's a 7th round pick. You don't want high expectation on that guy, and he's also a 6'5" goalie. He's another big guy, so bigger you are, it's harder to more net you cover, right?
Carter Geilander played in Colgate University last year. In 32 games, posted a 2.93 goals against average and a .90 save percentage. So otherwise, in the goalie system for Detroit, we have sent down to Toledo Jan Bednar and Gage Alexander. Gage Alexander was another 6'6" goalie that we have acquired this offseason. Bednar's been in the system for a couple years now.
Yep, he's played pretty good from what I've seen of him too.
Would not mind getting a look at him in Grand Rapids either. Again.
Yeah, so now we're gonna move on to the forwards. Also, we're kind of gonna try to do this by. We're also gonna try to do this by prospect and then by veteran. Once we get into the forwards and the defense, because obviously Kosa and Geilander are prospects in the goalie, and Campbell and Subban are the veterans. So for the forwards, we're going to start with obviously the first round picks. Marco Kasper.
So yeah, we are lucky to get Marco Kasper on our team again this year. Maybe. Still don't know yet for sure. He could be a last-second call
Or
up
how
to the Red
long?
Wings regular roster. Yeah, we have no idea how long he will be on the roster. He could be called up at the first injury or just at a moment's notice due to Yzerman's liking. So last year, Marco Kasper played in 71 games. He only missed one game, which is very important for young players coming into the North American League to get ice time. And 14 goals, 21 assists for 35 points. Ended up the season as a +9.
Yeah, huge contributions. And like I said, he's a first round pick. Picked 8th overall in 2022. So yeah, Marco Kasper's definitely improved. He came to GR in his first little bit. We kind of expected a lot from him. Both me and Kyle definitely were like, "What's going on with this guy? Is he not? Is he a bust?" Because he came in because he's from Austria, comes over and he just looked really small. He almost looked like a baby, coming in here. And he comes in and plays, and he struggled big time. And we were looking at Berggren, dudes like Lombardi were taking over before him, and next thing Berggren gets called up, he's gone. Our high scorers are gone, and him and Mazer were the dudes who stepped up, and like Casper really, by the end of the year, he turned into like a high quality player, making moves that like no one else on the team can do. Like his pressure along the boards and getting away from dudes and just setting up great plays and making good shots. Hope he's a big piece in the rebuild of the Red Wings. So yeah, Nate Danielson, drafted number 9th overall in 2023. He's a center. Played with the Portland Winterhawks last year. He previously played with the Brandon Wheat Kings, and then he was traded to a more competitive team where he had a very deep playoff run. He actually went to the championship round, but he fell short and didn't get the championship. He was then shipped over to the Grand Rapids Griffins to play one playoff game in the thick of it against the Milwaukee Admirals. He didn't adjust to the pace necessarily.
Yeah, like when he came across, you just noticed he's on a new team. We got to build new chemistry, and hopefully this season we can get him into it early, get him on the line with some of our other stars, and having that kid scoring points for us is going to be huge for the long run of this season. Just being able to keep the prospects hot and not relying on the veterans this year.
Yep, absolutely. And like I said, another first round pick. It's always nice to see them first rounders down in the AHL for a year or two, not forever. Everyone always acts like I'm seeing free Marco Kasper and stuff. Like, calm down, man. He's gonna be right up there. He's gonna get called up probably sooner than you think.
They need a year or two if they need it.
But yeah, I think they need a year, unless your name's like Connor Bedard or something. Yeah, so let's move on to Carter Mazer.
Yeah, Carter Mazer came on last season. He joined the season previous and made impacts immediately on the ice. We knew we were getting an aggressive physical player the second he stepped on the ice in his first game 2 years ago. And then that carried over into last season. Never really let up as a player. As soon as he touches the ice, he is go, go, go. He did catch an injury early last season that kind of delayed him taking over and being the top prospect down here in Grand Rapids, but in 60 games, he put up 17 goals and 20 assists for 37 points. And yeah, finished number 2 on the team behind Jonathan Berggren.
Yeah, he has that go, 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 like you're saying. He's got that grit. He models his game after Darren Helm. That's why his number's number 43. looking for him to score a lot of goals this year and possibly taste the winged wheel. All right, let's move on to Amadeus Lombardi.
So Lombardi came in last year, kind of filled that third line center role, looked great. He also came on the season previous, and we got to see him for a couple games, just some flashes. Got to see how fast he was, and he created points in his first couple times with Grand Rapids as well. So in his second season with Grand Rapids, he played 70 games. He scored 5 goals, 21 assists for 26 points, finished at a +5. Very disciplined player, and only recorded 76 shots, whereas players like Casper recorded 156 and Berggren recorded 156 as well. So it only took 76 shots. I think that number is going to go up this year, and I think his goals are going to go up too.
Yeah, and I think at this point, I'd say he's like a diamond in the rough. Picked in the 4th round, 113th overall, 2022. As a smaller dude, you don't really expect much from those kind of dudes, but he's clearly he played for the Flint Firebirds, and he's the first player to ever reach 100 points for the Flint Firebirds. So he's a historic player there, and yeah, I think he looked the best in training camp out of everyone in training camp, and I think he's definitely going to get the winged wheel someday, or he's going to get some shot in the NHL somewhere. But I think he's the under the radar guy that everyone's talking about. Mazer, Casper. Say next year, watch out for, or sometime this year, even watch out for Amadeus Lombardi.
It is just so fun to watch the development of these players, like you said about Casper. He came in, they looked like babies, and they look so young and small, and then this year they kind of come back in, a little more muscle on them. They're a little tougher, a little quicker, a little faster, have that playoff in their blood now.
Yeah, Mazer gained like 15 pounds, I seen. Crazy.
It's good to see.
So, yep, we'll get to Elmer Soderblom.
I don't think Elmer Soderblom can get much bigger.
No.
So last year, Elmer Soderblom came with a full season for the Griffins. Did not get any NHL time as he did the year before.
He started on the NHL. He started right with the Red Wings, skipped the Griffins completely, got injured, and then pretty much has been down since. Got sick last year. He had some sort of sickness. He couldn't play for a long time. But there were flashes and moments there where Berggren was called up, where Soderblom was available, and Soderblom looked like he was the guy ready to step up. Him and Amadeus Lombardi together looked really good.
Yeah, and it showed late in the playoffs too. I believe we had a Soderblom return in the playoffs, and as soon as he returned, it was an immediate impact on the ice, using his size and his offensive abilities that are rather unicornish, and just you don't see a lot of players be able to do the type of stuff that he does with his lateral movement across the ice and the ways he can make deep and get around players in the offensive zone, as well as use that big stick to poke check and kind of. It's just a really, really well-rounded player. He scored 13 goals last season, 16 assists for 29 points. And yeah, it's time for him to take another big step and stay healthy is the biggest thing for him this year, I'd say.
Yeah, Soderblom has to have a healthy year. He has to step up. He's competing with these other guys, and he was the dude who made the roster. He's got the size that no one else has. I'd like to see him step it up. So cross Hannes.
Yeah, Cross Hannes. It is kind of the same story we just said about Soderblom. It's time is ticking for Cross Hannes to really kind of start contributing as an offensive player. And it seemed like last year coming into the season, he had this like leadership role with the prospects and has been around for a season already in training camp. Once we got to the season, it seemed like the rest of the prospects took off, started scoring a bunch of goals, started getting a bunch of points, and Cross Hannes was limited to fourth line minutes and injured relatively often.
Yeah, I just feel like he had this really good shot, and it seemed like the year before he was the only guy he was like our only opportunity to score. So having him being able to score was huge, but like last year, it just seemed like he lost his shot and got buried in the depth chart, kind of.
Yeah, and like I said, he was playing a lot of fourth line minutes, so he didn't get as much ice time to show what he's capable of this season. I feel like there's going to be a little more up down movement of those prospects, and you might see Cross Hannes find himself into a higher role, maybe some power play time, and I'd just like to see him kind of reestablish himself as a player that is going to put himself up on the board when he steps on the ice.
Agreed. So let's move on to Alexander Doucette.
Yeah, honestly, Doucette was one of the most impressive players of training camp as well. Really put a lot of pucks in the net and all of the events that the Red Wings held, and it's good to see that he continues his trajectory, and I'm expecting to see him on Grand Rapids roster full time this year.
Yeah, this dude was the top scorer for the Halifax Moosehead. He was an overager, and he just started blowing up, and that's when we got him. And he went down to Toledo last year, had a pretty good year, and see what we can do here in GR. So that's almost about it for our younger prospects, I'd say, our main prospects that are on the roster as of right now. So we're going to get into some of our more veteran GR guys. We got for forwards. Well, obviously for defense, we'll start with the prospects. But Dom Shine, I gotta say he's the heart and soul of the team almost. He's always there to make good things happen. He actually has a really good offensive scoring ability. He'll fight people. He's just an absolute great guy overall.
Yeah, when you think about a hockey player and the spirit of a hockey player, Dominic Shine is a perfect example. He leads his team into war, and they do not back down behind him. He'll protect the prospects. He'll do whatever it takes to win the game, and he's shown that through the last, 6, 7 years of Dominic Shine being on the team, and don't know what we'd do without him, man. He's got that A on his jersey for a reason.
Absolutely. So we got Tim Gettinger. He was a big guy. He definitely came in. It was his first year with the Griffins last year. I remember the first game, seeing his size. I was like, oh, look we got some big guys out there. Well, yeah, he started out the season real strong and helped the Griffins propel. And I thought he was a big piece of our success last year, and I'm glad to see him back.
Yeah, he ended up really like taking hold of the team early last year. Started off leading the team in goals, and he had like 10 goals before anybody, and then he finished the season with 12. So he didn't finish the season as strong as he started. He also got injured somewhere down the line, and he only played 55 games. Got himself 25 points, though. Really solid season, and we're looking to see him back. Played a big impact and just kind of solidified that veteran role. Big guy, not afraid to play the physical side. Yeah, we're looking forward to see him again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Hunter Johannes, he came from North Dakota. He's definitely got this aggressive style. He's all over the ice. He'll slam you in the face. He'll get in your face. He's aggressive. He'll steal the puck from you. He'll shoot the puck. He's been a great addition. I'm really excited to see what Hunter Johannes can do this year.
Yeah, I think he's a great addition. He's kind of what the Griffins needed. He's another one of those players that's going to be out there protecting those prospects. And like you said, he's been all over since we've signed him. He's just kind of impressed, to say the least. And he's not going to back down from anyone. And he's a hunter, just like his name says.
Like, yeah. So, Red Wings got a few additions. I mean, Griffin's got a few additions. They got Snively, Dries, and Rolchowski. So we'll go over them and talk about what they can bring to the team this year. So starting with Snively, he was one of the top scorers on the two-time Calder Cup winning Hershey Bears. Very big veteran leadership, and he's a champion. So great to add that to the team.
Yeah, he's a champion, and he also made huge contributions down the line in the playoffs. They played 20 games until they won, and he had 18 points. And in the regular season, he played 69 games. He had 59 points, which is more than anyone that we had last year. So definitely a huge addition to this team. I think he's looking to make an impact himself, and he is also going to be fighting to be playing on the Red Wings roster. That's what he's going to be here to do. I don't think he wants to be in the AHL any more than anybody else.
Yep, I wouldn't think so. So Sheldon Dries.
Yeah, Sheldon Dries is also a huge impact player that has come over from Abbotsford, the Abbotsford Canucks. In 55 games last year for the Canucks, wearing the A on his jersey as the assistant captain, he scored 29 goals, he had 23 assists for 52 points. And again, the type of leadership we're bringing into this team. They also made it to the playoffs last year, where he put up 3 points in 6 games. So definite impact players we were bringing into the system, and as well as Snively and the rest of these guys that are going to be playing for that roster spot if it's available.
So, and then also Tyler Spezia signed with the Walleye. So if something goes down, I'm sure Tyler Spezia would maybe step on up.
We're gonna miss you, Spezia.
Yeah, he's definitely a fan favorite.
Jakub Ryklowski. So we're bringing in Jakub Ryklowski from Czechia, a 23-year-old who dominated the Czech league last year, putting up 46 points in 51 games, led the league with 26 goals. So looking into bringing scoring options from around the world, and we ended up with Ryklowski, and I'm very interested to see what this guy can do. He looks pretty good through training camp, and I like what I've seen out of preseason.
Yeah, definitely. Dude can score. That's for sure.
I think that's what we're looking for, is kind of a replacement for the goals that we're losing with Berggren, and hopefully he helps with that.
Yeah, between him, Snively, and Dries,
We should be
hope that's
getting
what
some
we get.
return.
Yep, so that should wrap up all the forwards that are officially on the roster right now. Correct?
Correct. There are players like Carson Bantle, Gabriel Seeger that have signed Grand Rapids contracts that have already been put down to Toledo Walleye.
And there's also dudes, I believe, like Joel Esperance, who have not signed with the team yet. You never know what's going to go on. Don't be shocked if it happens.
The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. Remember, all lines and odds are subject to change. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
Are you ready to watch your team take the ice this season? Have you missed the goals, hits, and fights of hockey happening right in front of you? Don't miss the moments that electrify your hometown arena or silence the competitors on the road. Because with GameTime, you can be part of the action as it happens. GameTime offers tickets to not only sporting events, but many of your favorite events as well. With the GameTime Picks feature, you can filter out what you are interested in and display the events that matter most to you at the best available price. Explore the tiers of deals, as I did when looking for Detroit Red Wings tickets, and find anything from the cheapest price to the best available seats with their super and amazing deals. GameTime's lowest price guarantee and their GameTime ticket coverage make them a reliable choice, backed with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime Picks. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time.
That should wrap up the forwards. So we'll go quick through these defensemen. So this year's defense, we definitely lost some major ability. We lost our two best guys. So we're hoping it can step up. But it looks like we got Justin Hall from Detroit. Cleared waivers. And Legason from Detroit. So those are going to be two solid guys down here. I don't know if they'll replace quite what Simon Evanson and Johansson brought to the table, but I feel like Hull could do good down here.
Right, we're looking at two NHL edge players that are just going to add depth to our team and really kind of help reinforce what was down here already. And I think the goal is to allow these prospects that we do have to develop a little in a more safe environment where they're not the only ones out there struggling for it.
Yep, and then you got like Brogan Rafferty, who was part of the Coachella Valley Firebirds, who made it deep in the playoffs, and he was on our team last year as a huge guy. You know, him and Didier, Josiah Didier, the captain, those guys will make up a pretty decent veteran leadership group. But yeah, it's a real bummer that so Shai Boom, two-time national champion at Denver, is out with an injury right now, which is very unfortunate because we're kind of hoping he'd step in and help fill that void of a high-end young prospect with Edmondson leaving. But we still got Wallander and Tuomi still. Wallander, we'll get into those, and Vero too. We'll get into those guys a little more than we got into the other defense. We'll start with Wallander.
William Blender had 65 games last year, 3 goals, 12 assists, at 15 points, finished at a -4. That's the only issue I've seen to have with Blender. most nights playing on the second line, he's a stable defenseman, but he tends to collect those minuses. And I think a lot of those are chances that are blown up in the offensive zone that end up going for breakaways. So if he can limit that, solid offensive defenseman.
Yeah, so he was supposed to be really good. He didn't have to be real good until Morty Sider left when he was in Rogel. And he left and he became really good. So now Simon Evanson left. We're hoping that same thing happens. I know you heard me say that 100 times before, but we're still hoping on it.
Yeah, and he was the first flying toaster to ever score, so there's a lot of hope.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Definitely. He scored in the playoffs last year, too. So, Tuamisto. He is another big guy. He's actually picked one pick after Mortiz Sider. He is on the right side. Another big right-handed guy. He'll probably be leading our right side this year. So I'm really hoping that he can step it up too. If there were two defensemen I really want to improve this year, would be Wallander and Toomey still.
Yeah, Tuamisto last year spent a lot of time on the top line playing with Edvinson. So who knows? Maybe they just kind of slide Linder up with Tuamisto and see if they can kind of get it going as a top prospect group, but most likely they'll break up the prospects and put them with a steady veteran.
Yeah, Toomey still has a shot, man. That shot he has it's killer. He's just got to hit the net.
He's just got to hit the net, man. He'll blow the goalie into the back of the net if he hits it. So, 50 games for Ante Tuamisto last year. 5 goals, 12 assists for 17 points. He finished as a +4, which is good to see. Very steady season last year for Tuamisto. We're just looking for him to continue that. I don't think we need to see anything flashy from him. Just solid defensive play.
Yeah, definitely. And then our last dude here, Emil. Well, we got not our last dude, but Emil Vero. We definitely want to step up too. He's another dude in that age group. You know, he's had some time with Toledo. He was kind of buried in the roster last year, but I kind of liked him when he came in. You know, he's made some really big saves when it really mattered, and the goalie was completely confused. He comes in, gets the puck out of there, but at the same time, he has had some mistakes trying to generate offense, giving the puck away. But he's another. I'd like to see more of him this year, big time. See him on some second line, get him some time with, Tuamisto or. I'm just interested to see how this defense looks with all these guys, and we can't forget Torridello either.
Right.
I think he's our last guy, right?
Yeah, with Vero, I just want to say he had 32 games last year. He's kind of like the season before, he was like an edge Toledo player where he was moving up and down. Last year, he was primarily on the Griffins, but only played half the season. I think if Vero kind of gets some more games under him this year, we'll know he's moving in the right track.
Or not.
Right.
Or we'll know he's moving in the wrong track.
We can go ahead and get onto Torridello.
From Chicago Wolves. Got division rival joining the team. Dude we've kind of hated, but see how he fits in. You know, he's always managed to score on us and shut down our star players. Get a little rough with them at times.
Yeah, over in Chicago last year, he had 65 games for the Wolves. Played a reliable veteran presence in the defensive position, and got 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points. He's a 27-year-old coming out of Illinois, so it's an interesting pickup. We'll see what happens. I kind of see like a new power replacement here.
Kind of seems like it.
And another guy to protect the prospects.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that should wrap up our roster. Feel like we got a nice stacked roster. like we said in the last episode, depending on Kosa's play and how the defense plays, I think our offense will do fine this year. I think we're going to be a high-scoring team. And yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all about getting out on the ice, and it's where we can kind of maybe go into the discussion about coaching a little bit. Getting these guys on the ice and with the right chemistry so they can perform, getting them familiar with each other, at bonding, camaraderie, all that good stuff. And I think Dan Watson's the perfect guy for it.
Yeah. Dan Watson turned a complete dumpster fire into a playoff team, a deep playoff team. In year one, I'm excited to see what this guy can do in year two. You know, him and Kosa taking the travel from Toledo to Grand Rapids together. He's got Kosa again this year.
Yeah, I think where it really matters and where it's really lining up is you got that familiarity with Lalonde and Watson, and Lalonde being part of the Red Wings head coach and just being able to kind of pull up Watson to just, hey, go coach that Buffalo game in preseason for us, and just kind of fluently handle operations as the AHL coach. And all these prospect games, he's kind of he's been winning the prospect games when he's coaching, and
kind of seems like they're grooming him for a job in Detroit. Not saying head coach, but I feel like he might be getting stolen from us.
I totally could see that. It's just there's a solid connection, and part of that is why the Griffins are so fun to watch, and all these prospects are able to develop down here under the same kind of system that Lalonde uses, and it makes it so much easier to make that transition.
Yep, and then we have returning coaches also. Rope Kusanen, a goaltender coach. He did a great job with Kosa and Hutchison last year, so I'm looking really forward to seeing that again. We got Stefan Julian returning on the offense, which he did good on 5-on-5, but it seemed like we had some major power play issues. I hope that got resolved. Definitely hope that got resolved this year. We were like the worst power play I've ever seen.
It got pretty hard to watch, especially in the playoffs. There, it was a huge.
It was almost like if we got it was almost like they were more likely to score if we got up.
So back with the same crew, and
Brian Lashoff.
Brian Lashoff is our other assistant coach, and we still got Brad Dog Thompson, equipment manager down there. That's what matters.
Absolutely. Yes. Get your Brad Dog Chia.
Alrighty. So we can move on to the division.
Yep, and we won't take forever on this because we really don't know too much about these other teams. But with what was out there, we gathered what we could and to throw you what it looks like and what we think.
So the Central Division of the AHL consists of the Texas Stars, the Manitoba Moose, the Iowa Wild, the Rockford Ice Hogs, the Milwaukee Admirals, the Chicago Wolves, and yours truly, the Grand Rapids Griffins. So we'll kind of just go ahead and cover these teams as we move along, and then at the end we will rank them from who we'll each do our own ranking to see what we think they will finish at.
Yeah, all right. We'll start with the Rockford Ice Hogs, who we're playing 12 times again. So they'll probably be one of our main competitors for the division. They're probably our biggest rival this year. They've got a lot of returning players. They got like Ethan Delmastro, Cole Gutman, Brett Sini, Colton Dock, all those guys. And then they got in the goal, they got Drew Comesso still, and Arbit Soderblom, brother of Elmer Soderblom. But they did lose dudes like David Gust, maybe, who's still a free agent, and Mike Hardman, Michael Tepley, guys like that. And yeah, they're gonna be. Then on top of all that, they got possibly Frank Nazar from Michigan Wolverines, blowing up, dude. This guy is gonna be good. He might make it on the Blackhawks roster, but we hope he does because we don't want to have to deal with him down here. He'll make the Ice Hogs that much harder to beat, and yeah, I see the Ice Hogs not letting up. I feel like they only gotten a little better, if not just as good. I think they're going to try to push a little deeper this year.
Yeah, they were matched right up with us all season long last year. I think just as of us, we're a growing team. We're going to try to pick up those wins as often as we can, and we play you guys, Ice Hogs, 12 times. So the more we can beat the Ice Hogs, the better. So we could go ahead and move into the Texas Stars. The Texas Stars this year look like no joke. They have first round pick Bischel on the defensive side of the puck. He's a 20-year-old. He looks like he's going to be in Dallas Stars relatively soon as well, but during his time in the AHL, we better watch out. The Stars made moves to pick up Kyle Capobianco, won the Eddie Shore Award as the AHL's best defender last year. They claimed him from the Manitoba Moose, and he put up 54 points in 69 games, so that's a huge player for them. And then they also acquired Hughes and Lind from Coachella Valley Firebird, who both took Coachella Valley very deep into the playoff. And then they've also picked up out of Calgary's system the leading goal scorer for the Wranglers, Pedersen. He's a 24-year-old that put up 38 points in 66 games for Calgary last year, and played with Texas last year in the playoffs and looked very good. So Texas is a huge threat to us, and they're keeping Poirier in the net.
I feel like last year Texas was like the top scoring team in the league. They had Logan Stankoven and Marvin Vork, and they ended up getting called up to Texas, Dallas Stars, and the Texas Stars fell off. Didn't know how to adapt, but it looks like this year they definitely got the pieces they need to keep going if something like that happens where their main prospects get called up. So look for the Texas Stars to be a threat this year. So we'll move on to the Chicago Wolves. So the Chicago Wolves were absolute horrible past few years. They decided they wanted to not be affiliated with an NHL team because Carolina is always trying to tell their affiliates what lines to play in the playoffs. Like they can't even do anything they want to. So it's all they just have problems keeping people, but Chicago realized that without an NHL affiliate, you don't get the high-end prospects. So pretty much the past couple of years, Chicago tried getting all the, like we went over our players. We had the prospects and the veterans. They tried to have a roster composed of veterans and players like that, and it didn't work. So they renewed their affiliate with the Carolina Hurricanes, and they got those players back. They got dudes like Ryan Suzuki back. And it looks like they're going to have a really good defensive line, and yeah, I feel like they're going to regain competitiveness, and I think they're not going to excel crazy nothing, but I think they're going to be a little better than the very bottom. I think they're going to sit around the middle of the division this year.
Yeah, as long as they have somebody to stop the puck for them.
Can't find anyone online who is a goalie. Are you just walking off the street, or?
Yeah, I looked too, man. I could not find anybody out there that they were signing or any news on goaltenders. They lost all of the goaltenders they had last year. So I guess we'll just kind of have to see who comes out and plays goalie for them.
Yeah. So I say, let's move on to the next team. We got Iowa Wild.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go ahead and the Iowa Wild. They don't look as threatening as teams like Rockford or Texas, I must say. They're sending some of their, like second round picks down. I'm not seeing too much like first round talent floating around in Iowa. I think they're all trying to make a push for the Minnesota roster. So you got players like Hunter Height, second round pick, that high potential and great talent that's looking to develop down there, and Troy Grosnick from Milwaukee Admirals are sent to Iowa, so he will be the veteran goalie there with Wallstedt leaving, and they have, I'm not even going to try to say his name.
But yeah, so Iowa Wild, I think that they're going to have a little bit of trouble competing with teams like the Griffins and the Ice Hogs this year. I feel like Grosneck's going to be good in that, but I think he's going to be a step down from Wallstedt.
Yeah, the goalies, I think the goalie's name is Halayev, and he's the younger one, and then it looks like Grosnick will be the veteran. Yeah, just not seeing, like, they have Carson Lambos as a defenseman. He was a first round pick in 2021. Just hasn't quite made that jump to the NHL yet. Not looking as threatening, but I'm not going to underestimate him.
Yeah, definitely not. Never underestimate anyone.
All right, and then Manitoba Moose. They look like they've kind of made some moves and done some work in the farm system to bring up some good players. A lot of young prospects going around there. They got Ville Heinola, who's a first round pick. They've probably ending up with Elias Salmonson over there, who was a second round pick that is really kind of blowing up now at defensive spot. So yeah, some big time players there. They got Thomas Milik in net, and he's looking to, as a young prospect, also shine. So then they're retaining some of their NHL star caliber players, like Axel Johnson Fajalbi and Dominic Tonianato, as well as their like goal scorers from last year, like Parker Ford, who put up 41 points in 72 games. So they're not really losing a whole lot. And also made additions from the Iowa Wild with Kevin Connolly, who was their top goal scorer, and Mason Shaw, who was from Minnesota Wild. So basically just robbed Iowa's system and bolstered themselves, Manitoba.
Yeah. So
and they also have Brad Lambert too.
Nice. So yeah, they'll be pretty good. So yeah, we'll move on to Milwaukee, and will kind of almost be like a preview for the next game, the opening game against the Admirals. So Milwaukee Admirals have actually had a lot of changes. They lost Askarov, their star goalie, who was traded to San Jose, and then, like you said, Groznik was traded to Iowa. Igor Afanasyev is also gone. He was a big pain in all of us Griffins, but they still have Zach LaRoe and Svechkov and all them. So they still. I just feel like they lost a lot of talent and they didn't really get the level of replacement. In goal, they got Matthew Murray and Magnus Corona, which I don't think they're at the level of Askarov was or Groznak. Groznak was pretty good. You know, he really had some games. He'd back out Askarov. But yeah, lost talent, and I just don't see as much replacement. So I feel like they might take a little bit of a step down this year. But I think they'll remain very competitive.
So you're telling me you don't think they're going to break the streak in wins this year?
Probably not.
Good. That's our
I
job.
wouldn't bet on DraftKings for that. That's pretty much our division. So, what would you rank it as, Kyle? What's your order of who do you think's gonna end up in first place?
I'm kind of looking at Texas. Like, they're, as always, they're just kind of an intimidating team to have to go up against. Their farm team is bolstered as much as their NHL team is.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go probably Texas also.
Yeah, they're just looking like they retained everything they needed. Yeah, Maverick Bork and Logan Stankoven will probably be up in the NHL this year, but it looks like they've made plenty of moves to retain enough. They look like they solidified defensively instead of offensively this year. So I think number 2, I'm going to put Rockford there.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be playing them a lot, and it's going to be some tough matchups. And
especially if they have Nazar.
Yes, it kind of does depend on, how good the main club does and who ends up dropping down. Injuries are a huge part of it, and if they have those guys like Nazar and they get some of those younger prospects on their team, that's going to be kind of not good for us. And
Yeah,
Drew Comesso and Stauber both another year of experience in the AHL just makes them that much harder to beat.
Yep. So I'm going to be the big homer on this one. And I'm going to put the Griffins at number 2. If Sebastian Kosa stands tall and our defense comes together, I think we'll be number 2. If not, I feel like we could be all the way down to like 5. But I feel like we'd still make the playoffs this year. It'd be a big disappointment if we didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah. I think I'm going to put us at number 3. I think we're not going to have that huge streak of games. I think we're just going to be more consistent this year. I think with the veterans we have and the prospects not really being so young and streaky, we're probably going to get just more consistent performances. And we're also still trying to build that chemistry. So if we start out a little slow, I think we'll kind of get it together by the end. And then I think overall it'll be a consistent year of winning games and staying at that 60% to 70% mark.
Yep. So I'm going to go Rockford in 3rd. What do you got for 4th?
I'm going to put Manitoba there. I think they look like they're going to be bringing in quite a few prospects, and if their development starts hitting off, they could be dangerous too.
So I'm gonna put Chicago. I think their affiliation with Carolina is gonna bring them back into it, and I think that they've had enough losing, and I feel like they're gonna make it to fourth. You got for fifth?
I think I'm going to put the Admirals at fifth. I think they're still going to be a competitive team. And I still think they're going to make a push for the playoffs. But I don't think they're going to be anything that they were last year with Askarov and that Askarov Grossnick combo at goaltending, and I think they're
Okay,
losing
so
a lot of their talent.
yeah, so I'm definitely putting the Admirals before the Wolves. Let's just be real. So flop those around and put my 5 as Wolves. I think Admirals are still going to be a little better than the Wolves.
Gotcha.
So then 6, I think I'm going to put Manitoba.
Gotcha. 6, I think I'm gonna put Iowa. I don't know if like they are bringing back a lot of their players from last year, but a lot of those players, like the ones they lost, are like their main players, and then I just don't see a lot of the fresh prospect pool coming in.
Yeah, and then 7th, I'm going to go Manitoba, Iowa.
Yeah, I'll put Chicago there. I just don't think they're gonna have it yet with the 1 year alliance with Carolina. I think
And
Carolina's
no
gonna
goalie.
make it hard for them. Yeah, they still don't have. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. So, just kind of wondering.
Yep.
I think it'll take some time for them to get back into it.
Well, yep, so quick, we'll go back through it. So at 1, I had Texas. At 2, I had the Griffins. At 3, I had the Ice Hogs. At 4, I had the Admirals. At 5, I had the Wolves. At 6, I had the Moose. And at 7, I had Iowa.
I had 1 being Texas, 2 being Rockford, 3 being Grand Rapids, 4 being Manitoba, 5 being the Admirals, 6 being Iowa, and 7 being Chicago.
Sweet. All right, so that should pretty much bring us right to the penalty box. So the penalty box is our one time to step away from hockey and end the podcast on a fun note. We'll pick the biggest idiot of the week and throw them in the box for either a 2-minute minor, 4-minute double minor, 5-minute major, or game misconduct. Kyle, who are you throwing in the box?
I gotta throw the Bengals in the whole organization in the box. Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL. Been a fan for a long time, man. They are going to give me a heart attack the way they keep losing these games. It's just not okay. Like, it's the hope that hurts eventually. You're like, oh, we're not supposed to win this game. And then you're like, winning. You're doing great. Things are on your side. But then the end of the game comes. And you're just right back in that sad and sorry position. Like, why did I even turn the TV on? I think they do need to do something about the coaches over there. I think it's time. Whether it's just the defensive coach or the head coach, that's the organization's decision. But it's just kind of screwed from the top. So I don't think anything's ever going to happen. Just wasted talent.
What are you putting them in for?
I'm going to give them a 5-minute major.
All right, have fun in the box. So I'm throwing the box. I'm going to throw Mother Nature in the box. You got all these. You got the Hurricane Helena Now you got this new hurricane, Category 5. And then you got all these midge flies killing all the deer, causing a disease up here. Killing all
the
our deer.
raging drought in the West. Crazy.
Yeah, definitely not good. A lot of deer not making it. So take a chill pill, nature. We're just stealing all the gasoline and pumping it back into the air.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah.
Wherever the rain's hitting has got plenty of rain. We could use it up here, and the West could use it. But it's just continuous dry air, and places that are underwater just keep getting rained on.
Yep, and prayers out to anyone who's dealing with those situations. I give 5 minutes too. 5 minutes in the box, Mother Nature. All right, that should wrap up this show. We're part of the Hockey Podcast Network, sponsored by DraftKings and GameTime. Catch you next time. Call in, and for that giveaway, we'll make a post on our page on all of our socials, and find the post and comment your favorite player for 1 entry, and call in for 5. Carter Mazer poster and puck signed. See you guys at the Freezer in Fulton Friday, October 11th. Let's sink that Admiral ship. Go Griffins.
Let's do this, man. Go Griffins.
Thank you for listening to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, give us a 5-star review. We are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We are not partnered with the Grand Rapids Griffins, Detroit Red Wings, or Toledo Walleye. We are not experts. We are just die-hard fans looking to make a community with others alike. Let's go Griffins Nation. Join the fun, like, and follow us on Facebook and X, or call into the show and have your opinion heard 1-616-319-1175. Thank you. Grand Rapids Griffins, Toledo Walleye, and Detroit Red Wings. Players, coaches, websites, and social media. Thank you AHL.com, NHL.com, ETL.com, EliteProspects.com, and anyone else putting out information on the teams. Until next time, go Griffins. Go Red Wings, go Walleye.